What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwicoach. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Will Zalatoris. We're going to take a look at his golf swing, take a look at his stats, Rookie of the Year on the PGA Tour. So without further ado, let's go do this thing. So if you guys are new to the channel, I'm an American golf instructor that's moved out here to Japan to teach golf. Currently right now we're teaching anywhere from pro golfers to your typical amateur golfer. We've been on a TV show here in Japan, as well as we've done numerous clinics and seminars here in Japan. So we've been having a great time over here, and we're still making some videos for you guys in America. So I hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's get in. So if you guys don't know who Will Zalatoris is, I'll give you guys a brief little background of what he did in 2021. So he was the 2021 PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. He had 8 top 10 finishes on the PGA Tour, one of those being a solo second at the Masters tournament, which is really good for a rookie. From there, he made 22 out of 33 cuts on the PGA Tour in 2021, and that netted him right around $3.5 million in tour earnings. From there, in driving distance, I think he was right around 307, something like that. Driving accuracy percentage was 56%, which is a little low for that driving distance, but not so far off. And then his greens and regulation was really good at 69 point something percent. Strokes gained off the tee, I think he was placed 31st on the PGA Tour, and then strokes gained approach to the green, I think he was right around 7th on the PGA Tour, and then strokes gain green tee to green, he was right around 9th place. So that's a little background about himself. Let's go get into the actual swing analysis. So because Will Zalatoris is such a good ball striker tee to green, and he's a Rookie of the Year, might as well take a look at his golf swing. We have a driver here in slow motion, so we can kind of break down the swing. Now the point of this part of the video is really to take a look at what he's actually doing and then give some potential reasons on why he might be doing that. Again, we're not inside the camp, we don't know his coach, we haven't talked to him. So the reasons that I give why he might be doing it could be completely wrong. But I'm going to be taking a look more so as kind of a golf instructor under my preferences of why I typically have players do certain things, and then we can kind of come up with some reasons why potentially he might be doing what he's doing in his golf swing. So that being said, the first thing I want to take a look at is going to be kind of the head movement that he does from this position, P2, to the top of the swing. As we can see, as he gets up to the top of the swing, the head is kind of breaking through this barrier, which means it's moving closer and closer to the golf ball. Now the reason why it's moving closer and closer to the golf ball is definitely because this lead knee right here has moved closer and closer to the golf ball, right? So it's flexed more and it's moved out towards the golf ball, which then in turn moves the head out towards the golf ball. So now the reason why he's moving his head out towards the golf ball, we really don't know. This could be something that him and his coach are actually trying to fix potentially, or maybe it's just something that he's naturally done from a kid and it's not such a big deal right now currently, so they're not even trying to worry about it. The main thing is his head is pretty close to the golf ball, which means potentially he's going to have an inability to create space on the downswing unless he does certain movements that could allow him to get more space. All right, from here, another notable thing at the top of the swing, he definitely has quite a bit of width at the top of the swing. His arms are nice and high. His wrist conditions also kind of mimic, if anything, a little bit of like a Xander Schauffele, where he doesn't have a lot of setting in the wrist or a lot of radial deviation in the wrist. He's kind of almost, if anything, keeping this ulnar deviated look all the way to the top. Now the question arises, well, why would he want to keep the wrist conditions like that? Why does he want plenty of width? Well, in my personal opinion, I think the reason why he's doing this is because he gets so much rotation on the downswing that if he didn't have width with his wrist conditions and his arms, he would be so narrow because he rotates so much that he'd struggle to hit the golf ball. So this is kind of the main reason why I personally think he's getting so much width at the top. Again, this could be him naturally doing this, naturally compensating over the years through this swing, or it could be something that his coach introduced to him to do because he rotates so much. Again, we don't know because we can't talk to the coach or the player. Now from here, another interesting thing that this player does that is kind of contrary to a lot of PGA Tour players is from the top of the swing, he has, let's say, a very neutral wrist condition, right? So relatively flat wrist condition at the top. Now, as he moves down in early transition, he actually cups his wrist in early transition. And you can see that right here if I draw a couple lines. This is a cupped wrist or an extended wrist at this particular point in the golf swing. Now, this is very rare for a PGA Tour player to do. You don't see too many of them actually extending the wrist in transition. I can only think of maybe one player at the top of my head, Jeev Milka Singh, back in the day used to do this. However, there's not a lot of guys that I can think of off the top of my head that actually do this. Now, what are the reasons why he might want to do this? Well, if you extend your wrist, you're opening the face angle at the top of the swing in transition. Now, maybe back in the day, he struggled with a pretty nasty hook. So one of the things that he started to naturally do, or maybe his coach introduced to him to do, was to extend the wrist so he could help mitigate some of that hook, right? If you extend the wrist and you kind of keep that all the way down into impact, your face angle will be much more open. So if you're struggling with a hook that's going starting left and going left, that could potentially get the starting line more to the right of the target line and then mitigate some of that draw. So then from now you're hitting a little bit more of a push draw as opposed to a pull hook. Again, we really don't know, but that's definitely something that he's doing in his golf swing, extending that wrist, which is very unique, I think, for a PGA Tour player. All right, from here, another thing that he does in transition is we're going to see he moves to right side lateral bend really early. And with driver, obviously, a lot of these guys move into right side lateral bend quite early because they're trying to hit up on the golf ball. However, I still think even for most guys, he does it quite exaggerated. Let me kind of show you why. So if you go draw a little angle on the shoulders like this, you can see kind of his starting point. He's right around 63 degrees at the top of the swing. If we take him down to position 5, we're going to see that the shoulders are actually a lot less than they were before. So he's right around 76, right? So it's roughly right around 13 degrees of shift from position 4 to position 5, which is quite a bit, even for most PGA Tour players. So the question arises, well, why is he doing this? Well, it could be that his coach was teaching him to hit up on the golf ball, and because he rotates so much on the downswing, one of the ways that he has to hit up on the golf ball because of that rotation is right side lateral bend. That could be the reason why. It also could just be the reason why this is always the way that he swung since he was a kid, because there's a lot of kids that swing this way. They rotate their low body like crazy, they drop their right shoulder like crazy, and it allows them to kind of manage the club face and manage the angle of attack and the entry and exit points. Because if you think about it, if you rotate your body as much as this guy has right here, if you were to get your, let's say, your whole upper body in a neutral position to where it wasn't tilted so much this way, you're going to miss the golf ball completely, right? The club head would swing above the ball and you would completely miss the ball. So if you're going to rotate that much, to hit the golf ball, you have to get this right side lateral bend. And especially if you're trying to hit up on the golf ball, if you rotate as much as he does, you really have to drop your shoulder to make sure that you can hit up on the golf ball, which I do think he is actually slightly hitting up on the ball, but we'd have to know his TrackMan numbers. Now from here, the next point I wanted to talk about is that rotation. He rotates a lot, and as we see right around impact, it almost looks like his pelvis is like 90 degrees open relative to the target line, which is a lot, even for a lot of these young guys who rotate a lot like him. So the question is, why is he rotating so much? Well, if you hear from a typical golf instructor, they're going to say the more you rotate, the more control over the face angle that you're going to have. I personally believe that's not necessarily true. You do see a lot of these guys that rotate a lot have really stable toe closures, so they have really good face angles at impact. They can start the ball consistently. But I really don't think it's because they rotated so much. I more so think it's the way they control the torques on the club shaft that causes them to have really good stable rate of closures, as opposed to them just rotating their bodies as much as possible. I really don't think that's automatically going to correlate into a stable rate of closure. And the reason why I say that is because I see plenty of amateur golfers who try to rotate just like this, and they have heavy rate of closures, or they rotate the toe quite a lot through impact. So I don't think there's really a correlation there. All right, now another interesting thing that he has at impact is going to be his wrist condition. So if we go take a look at his left wrist, it's pretty heavily ulnar deviated at this particular point, as well as the right wrist is also heavily ulnar deviated at this particular point. So if you get your wrist in a condition like this right before impact, it's really difficult to churn over the toe or supinate your wrist. It's difficult to do that when your wrists are in those conditions. So again, this is another point that's telling me that this person probably struggled with the hook when he was younger. So he's doing all these compensations, I don't know if he's doing it naturally or his coach taught him to do this, but he definitely has a lot of compensations to manipulate the face angle into a more open position. So that's why I'm guessing he struggled with a pretty big hook when he was a kid. So as he comes through impact, one of the main things and one of the main reasons why I think he's such a great player is as he goes post impact, we can see the toe of the club is not rotating over really rapidly. It's just rotating over relative to the arc of the swing, right? So it's closing relative to the arc, not opposed to it or faster than the arc, right? Which might be a little bit confusing. So let me maybe show you what that would look like. So let's say we're right here and then we go to this position right here. So if you're closing faster through the arc, that would look a little bit more like this red line right here, right? I'm sure you guys have seen this with other players like Phil Mickelson or other people who really kind of rotate the toe over. It would look maybe something closer to something like that, right? If he was rotating really fast relative to the arc, but he's not, right? He has a really stable rate of closure. And again, this is the big reason, I think the only reason why he's such a great ball striker. I think a lot of the body movements that he does actually are not that optimal. And personally, I would probably teach him out of those body motions myself. But the main thing is, if you can do what he's doing from about here to here, you're going to have a stable rate of closure, you're going to have a consistent starting line, and you can play golf, right? As long as your starting line is within a certain range for relative to your handicap goal, and the curvature amount is good because your path is matching up to that, you're going to be fine, and you're going to play great golf on the tour, and that's exactly what this guy is doing. And this would be the main thing for you guys at home. This would be the main takeaway point I would have for you guys. If you can get your face angle to look a lot more like Will Zalatoris through here, you're going to be a really good golfer. So in review, a lot of stuff he does in his golf swing, we're never probably going to know exactly why he does it unless you talk to the coach themselves or himself. But he definitely has a lot of interesting movements that personally I wouldn't not necessarily teach to my pro golfers, but he obviously gets it done. He makes it work, and he has such a great face rotation from about this position to here that he can really do whatever he wants with his body. He's probably still going to hit the golf ball pretty well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that analysis. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.